So what's going on, y'all? Listen. It's your boy, the Show Off. This is Loose Change, Common Sense, and let me try my hand at sports. Usually, I only handle controversies in sports, but I'm a jack of a lot of trades. I want to weigh in on the Kevin Durant situation. I'm probably going to start doing this more often, um, weighing in on GOAT debates and all of that stuff on the page. Kind of diversify the page or whatever. But I want to tell y'all what nobody has even thought about and the media hasn't talked about. First of all, the media needs to stop lying about this roster. All right, because this roster that they have, though it is a pretty decent roster, very good roster, this roster is not the best roster that has been there since Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving signed in to be on Brooklyn. All right, so they've tried to create this image that Kevin Durant is tired of Kyrie and this, that, and the third. Ironically, both of them were asking to leave at the same time. So maybe they're on the same page or whatever, and they know they probably not gonna land in the same place, but they came to a point where they both were asking to leave. All right. Now, with that being said, has anybody even thought about the fact that maybe Kevin Durant just don't give a fuck? Y'all are talking about, oh well, he's trying to pull leverage and this, that, and the third. This team is not the same team that Kevin Durant signed on to, that Kyrie signed on to. They signed on to a team, and when I say stop lying about this being the best roster that they've had since they've been in Brooklyn, unfortunately Kevin Durant was hurt the first year. But the roster that he signed on to, it had Kenny Atkinson as the coach. It had Nate McMillan as the assistant coach, the assistant head coach. It had Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, who's still there, Bruce Brown, who's still there. It also had Jared Allen. Add Kyrie to that. Add Kevin Durant to that. And then DeAndre Jordan to back up Jared Allen. That was the best roster that they've had. And before Kevin Durant was able to play one game, you traded away three people. You fired the head coach. The assistant head coach came in and he was doing an excellent job, and you let him get away down to Atlanta. So the situation, nobody talks about this, the situation that Kevin Durant signed on to, that he felt like he could go and win a championship and lead a team to a championship, along with Kyrie. That team that he signed on to, Kyrie just might have been right. That there would have been very little to no coaching needed and necessary for them to win a championship. He might have been right. Because when you listen to that lineup that I just listed, and then you get a healthy Kevin Durant back, and then you get Kyrie as well, a healthy Kyrie, they may have won a championship the first year that they all played together. But before that could even happen, everything changed. Now, why would he ask for the general manager to be fired? Because the general manager facilitated all of these changes. It's not about leverage. And maybe Kevin Durant has gotten to a point, they're talking about, well, Kevin Durant just made himself cheaper. Maybe he just wants out of this situation so bad that he doesn't give a fuck. All right? Who facilitated all of this stuff? Sean Marks. Who did Sean Marks hire? Steve Nash. Why? Because they had a relationship in Phoenix, all right? So here's the thing. Once you made all of those trades, now there's a lot more coaching that's needed. I'm on the record on many of ESPN clips and Fox Sports clips. I'm on the record of saying that Steve Nash was unable to adjust to how they were playing Kevin Durant and continuously trying to play iso ball in order to win when he could have started setting plays with picks and played Kevin Durant much like Indiana played Reggie Miller. Have him coming off picks, 2-3 picks, 2 or 3 screens, and have him as a marksman in those situations. But because the coaching prowess isn't there, because he's never had experience with coaching, he was unable to adjust in these playoffs. All right? Just go out there and continue doing what we were doing, and they got beat. They got swept. So now, why should Kevin Durant want to play with them? Why should Kevin Durant, the team that he joined, is no longer here? They did everything they could to get rid of that team. Why? Because you have a scoring machine and probably someone that is getting close to being considered the most skilled player of all time on the team, and now you feel like you can just win with anybody. So now the people that you get rid of, and you get rid of those players, and then you bring in someone who quit in Houston and then came to Brooklyn and quit as well. Stopped playing, allowed people to get inbounds passes, steals and shit off of inbounds passes, all of that stuff, and then decided to act like he was hurt towards the end of the tenure before they traded him. And then you bring in Ben Simmons, who decided that he wasn't going to play all year, and yet he was still fighting for money to be paid for all of that time, for $20 million. He'd been fighting for that shit. So, in essence, he ends up not playing all year. And then the first thing you see is early in the summer, he supposedly had back surgery and he's out shooting threes and all kinds of stuff, and those clips are coming out. So, and he's putting these clips out, but you didn't play any during the playoffs, any at all. You didn't play at all last year. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wasn't playing, how did you get hurt? All right? The situation has changed from what he initially signed on. Now, why would he sign the contract? Because he's already been with the team for 3 years, 4 years, 4 years. He's already been with the team for 4 years. That team can offer him more money than any other team. So if he was going to take about about $40 million hit if he didn't sign the contract with Brooklyn. So he signed the contract, got to the end of the season, evaluated, and then decided to do what? Ask for a trade. Because he looked up, and the whole team that he signed on to be with, the coaches, the two of the coaches, well, all of the coaching staff, they're no longer there. All right? They're no longer there. Then you got the 3 best players who were, winning around 40-something games a year or whatever the case may be, and you come and you add Kyrie. That team probably should have been, if barring health, that team probably should have been winning around 65, 67 games a year if you add Kyrie and KD, and maybe more. If you add KD and Kyrie to that mix, and they can get some kind of chemistry going, they could have been winning between 60, 65, and 70 games a year. And you trade away those 3 players, and you trade away 2 of the players, and then you let Dinwiddie get away in free agency. Maybe I might want to change too. Show off.